All right, I'm looking at 6 instruments here. I've got, I'm running stuff vertical because I want to, oh God, what's new? Help. I don't need any help, please. MT5 sucks. The biggest dick in the world. I mean, how did they even, this is like, was that built by FJB? Oh my God, people. It's finally over. It's finally over. It's not. So we're left with some residual artifacts of the fuckdemic. And really, what it is, if you notice, people are still wearing Z masks. I get the hot chicks with the fashionable masks, and I'll give them the break. I'm like, babe, you are on target. That matches your shoes. I like it. I'm with you so far, but dude, well, it's usually not guys, but you see the mommies with the 39-year-old doughy mom. She looks like she's. How did she even? Who even decided to make babies with her butt? Somebody dipped their wick and boom. And she's got the 5-year-old and the 8-year-old, a boy and a girl with Z masks. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? This is like, you're kidding, right? Joke, right? No joke. Nope, no joke. For real. It's really happening, people. Step away from Z masks. If you must wear a mask, make it sexy. So look at the Bitcoin here, and I'm fascinated by all the markets are coming unwrapped. And the argument for fundamentals is that, well, they raised interest rates in the United States of America. So what happens then? Well, I'll tell you. You want to know fundamental analysis? Sit down, let me explain it. When they raised the interest rates over here, I hope I'm not going out on a limb here fundamentally, but it made the price of the dollar go up. Well, my question in that is, if that's true and fundamentals is something we can rely on, which is another fucking ridiculous situation, because when the fuck did you pull the trigger on this trade? Before they raised interest rates? While they were raising it? This is a daily chart of the dollar CAD. Were you in the market on a half-hour chart just riding it for 15-minute blast, and you were in so fucking big, you made so much fucking money that, so from the guy that's in the market for 3 hours to the guy that's in the market for 3 days, from the guy that's in the market for 3 weeks, they're all going to tell you, yeah, I'm making money, but they're not like jumping up and, it's not like every day they're peeling a little bit out, and at the end of the month, the guy that's in the monthly position, had he got the direction right, and for a month it went his way in some kind of chunk segment, or it traded fucking sideways, and he just took the trade off the table at the end of the month, and boom, he's up the same amount as the guy that kind of like had to babysit it for a half an hour window, like a scalper in the morning, and maybe they're interested in blast the market. So if you said there's two, you could say, how can you make X amount of dollars a month? How do you make 10 grand a month? Or how do you make $1,000 a month? Well, you can either sit there and take bites out of the market during price pulses, or let's just say price action just means that you're on the right side of the action, right? You wouldn't want to try to make babies with somebody that kept every time you come after them, they pull away. You're both moving, but it's not like, unless you're into that stuff, you're not making a connection. As far as artificial intelligence goes, I just had an incident where I was trying to type into a search engine field on this giant site of tools, and wouldn't you know it, it tried to autofill for me every fucking time, and if I didn't jump in and hurry up and type what I exactly wanted, it would just go, oh, you want this, don't you? I'm like, oh my God, I gave up. They really didn't have that much stuff in there. It was so like, you want to browse categories, individual items? Do you want to be here all day? Really? Well, let's just say they're not in the business of. It wasn't Amazon. Like Amazon's like, this is our featured item. This is stuff that you'll have. I like how stuff from China is like, well, if you want it right now, it's $200. If you want it from China in a month, and if you can wait 60 days, it's like $20 instead of 100. So time's money in that sense, and dollar CAD. What was making the market drop over here in this giant plunge on the Z chart. What made this happen? Did they lower interest rates in the United States? Didn't hear about anybody. This is a daily chart. Did you hear anything about? Well, that's 2000. That's a year ago. Did they lower interest rates? No, I don't think so. They've been like fucking locked. So they've been raising this. The fundamental argument. When the fundamentals meet the trend, I mean, we've heard all these things, but this also presupposes you pull the trigger on every trade that comes out across your signal path. And if you're trading in these small time frames, trying to take bits and pieces out of the market, then are you going to also, by the same token, going to diligently pull off each trade, whether it's a winner or loser, because you trust in your system so intensely that you're willing to train yourself to overcome your fears because you back tested the fucking shit out of it. So, of course, I mean, if trading, I would say I got some bad metaphors and analogies for trading, but just to carve some out is like, think about if you're going to drive a car, don't you want to know if it has brakes? And that's first thing. But then after you discover if it has the brakes, well, what happens if I tap them or punch them hard? Like, can I actually get this car to chirp? Like, stop? When does the ABS kick in? What should I expect when I'm on ice? Like, all these conditions. So it's one thing to have brakes on the car. It's one thing to be able to pull the trigger on the trade. It's one thing to be able to pull the brakes on a trade or put a stop in, limit your risk. But then how many trades are you in? If you're too conservative, you don't give the market enough so-called room, which means widen your stop, take more risk. Then what's the size of the position? If you make them too small, you can't execute a whole batch in a half a second. But if you're in a big position with a tight spread and you're going to be in the car, I guess, on the train that's riding in the next price zone, if you're going to be on that trade, are you going to be in there for 7.5 minutes in a giant position and you're done trading for the day because you're like, well, that was my setup. I took it. I don't see any other signals and I don't really care because I made my quota for the day, so to speak, like a cop pulling somebody over on the highway. And this is the view, but then the other side of your brain says, well, if that's true, why can't I just keep pulling the trigger? There must be some more good trades out here, and there probably are. But you may have to change your tactics, and you may have to say, I'm going to trade against the trend today because I want the other trade. If you're so rule orientated, then you're not going to fucking make a move unless, so if somebody hands you a disaster, can you say, okay, logically, based on what I know, this is a couple paths we could take. Let's go down one, and if I think that I'm stuck, I have a backup plan in my head as I go improv on the fly. Or are you going to get out a fucking book while the whole place blows up and go, okay, step one? In other words, the introduction. Like, you got to have some kind of, or you just shouldn't be doing anything in the field that you're pulling the trigger in. So if you go out hunting, is this the right? These right bullets? And I think a lot of people would want to say, I'm going to trade and this is going to be risky. I'm going to spend at least bullet money, which is a spread, if you're going to go out and practice hunting. So it's really analogous. The only thing that doesn't translate between trading and hunting and hitting the brakes on your car is that there aren't a lot of roads in anywhere in the world that all of a sudden the road flips and goes the other way. Like most of these roads, you can count, unless there's a traffic jam or a car crash, the road's just not going to like go from really hilly to flat. No, when you get on a flat road and you know where you're going, or you don't know where you're going, but you know it's called highway, that would be the trend trade. People like, oh, I'll just get back and put on cruise control and I just get in this trade and just sit back and, as long as we map this out in advance, I'm completely okay with getting on this train with you. But imagine a train ride that inverted, and all of a sudden it's going backwards. Like, why is it backtracking? So what's pulling back? Don't you know a trend's created by an averaging of noise that seems to have bigger lunges up, and then that's the uptrend. But there's a lot of more predictable moves that are just noise moves or just return to the midline, return to the average. It's a little bit stretched out. So if you're tracking an animal, people want the market to be like that. Well, he looks like he's going to run that way. He's running around that way. That's great until he gets shot in the head, or all of a sudden, it turns out he gets some kind of notice from the government that he's not allowed to cross the road anymore because it's too dangerous. You know, we have to protect the animals. So squirrels start getting messages in their email box, and we saw you out the other day. We caught a picture. Your tail has been identified. We've been mapping out tails. We didn't tell you that. We're really dialed into what's going to. So these are all the considerations that are when it comes to trading and seeing opportunities. Now here in the daily chart, I guess you could say, if you're going to look to just make, I think I got 25 pips on top of. I got the wrong thing on here. You got 25 on top of 100 pips here, I think, right? So yeah, it's 25. So that's if we were in the standard lots, this would be $250. These baby lines, this is $100. I mean, $1,000 from these two black lines in a standard lot. So we could trade a standard lot, and you could say, well, look, I got in here and I made $3,000. I mean, it's easy to say that, but when it comes down to it, you're probably going to want to trade 10Ks at least. So being able to shuffle the 10Ks properly, and you could trade 70K in total, say, I'm just trying to make it, I don't want to go to micro level because people's heads will explode. Plus, your broker probably won't take that 150 single tickets. You know, they may not take it, they may not like it, but just for the most simple view, because I'm just about simple, is that if we zoom in one level to the daily dollar CAD, and we know that this is going to be $100, we're trading mini lots, 10Ks, and so a move like this is going to cost us X, and we're just going to ride this thing. And say we do cleverly put our buy limit down here, and we start buying this kind of fake breakout on a daily. So I'm just assuming people understand breakout strategy is that you bracket a small. Let me just go through the three kinds of trades you could do first, I guess, if you've never been to my dysfunctional view of the market. But it's always kind of like a prerequisite is that, yeah, I suppose I forgot the disclaimer. Everything I say is here complete bullshit, and do not steal my secrets, okay? I know that's not the government one about I'm not a legal moron. I'm not a market analyst. Now, J.P. Morgan just came out and said, I'm laughing so hard in the car, dude. J.P. Morgan came out and said crude oil is going to $3,000 a barrel. I go, thanks for the sell signal. You notice how crude oil sell out? Let me just go to crude oil now. I'm just going to jump around now. I gave up on that. Look at fucking crude oil. Now, J.P. Morgan, this is the kind of fucking sell signals fundamentally from the bullshit propaganda headlines. Hello? I mean, we've known this for years. Buy the rumor, sell the fact. Who was in the White House down here? Then Ass Clown steps up to the plate and thinks he's going to shut down the spigot. And that's all propaganda shit too. Do you really think that if that was fucking true? I mean, this is what just it's such bullshit on both sides. Oh, there's going to be a nuclear. Okay, here's my favorite latest one. There's a guy in Russia whose name starts with a P. He runs the state, and he says, "I'm not fucking around. I may use a nuclear weapon." And all these fucking idiots, well, they're just trying to make money. Go, tune in us. We're talking about nuclear war again. There's such a starvation for entertainment because there's so many fucking talented people that have come to the forefront because of the digital age of being able to broadcast your own fucking channel. It's just unfucking believable. I'm glad they don't ban you for saying fucking, because I forgot to put the adult rating on this video. But holy fucking shit fuck. What is going on, people? I love the market. It's so fucking nuts. And watching these idiots talk about, well, we're JP Morgan. We're Merrill Lynch. We're bullish on the future. I'll never fucking forget it. Year 2000. I'm looking at the TV. It's before I even traded forex. I was still doing commodities, dabbling in, and I just couldn't even. It was insane margin requirements, so I didn't really put a trade on. But I'd studied the shit out of it. I put about 10 trades on in commodities because I realized at that point I had some other people that from Mensa Society to try to trade for me. They couldn't trade. They lost like gobs of money, of my money. Oh, I thought you guys were the smart people. I don't. JP fucking Morgan is a fucking laugh. I just, these headlines are just bullshit. Oh, they're going to lock up the former president. No, they're not going to indict him. They're not going to arrest him. You guys are all full of shit. Just like your Bitcoin bullshit. Oh, Bitcoin's going to 100 million. Dude, Bitcoin's probably going to 10 fucking grand. Deal with it. God, am I pissed again? I can't fucking take it. It's so stupid. And all these fuckers. Did you see the article in the paper? Dude, have you been outside? Have you seen the squirrels don't give a fuck? I almost ran over a black squirrel on the highway. I didn't even think they still existed. I thought somebody spray painted it. It was like a hood squirrel. It was like, wow, there really are black squirrels. My buddy had about 40 in his backyard. He's feeding him. He lives in the city, country. He lives in the right off a main road, and he is feeding them like black squirrel pellets or something. They're showing up. He's got like 20 deer on his lot. He's residential, but he's in some. These people are so, tree hugging and animal hugging in this neighborhood that they just won't. They won't even. I think they catch spiders and like set them free in the woods and shit. So, look, honey, I try to do that myself, especially with these stink bugs or a praying mantis. We had one in here. I had to. Well, that's kind of creepy. Like, it looks like an alien. But look at this price swing. Isn't this the most fascinating shit you've ever seen in your life? I must say, I'm proud to make this call about crude oil, that this is total bullshit. Remember, it was supposed to go to $6 a gallon over here this month. In August, it'll be at $6 a gallon. Yeah, because people, when this spike happened, oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. Like, what was the news headlines here? Not too much, but the headlines here were like, oh, it's going like this. It is. I'm sorry. I forgot to let go of my mouse. I didn't mean that. Oh, please. I hope the FBI is not watching me during this one. Okay. It was supposed to go off the charts. Still not getting my let go-ness here. Wait. This is not treating me right. I'm not being right here. So up, up, up. Punching up. It's just bullish as can be. My mouse is not letting go. So, how'd that work out, Johnny? Well, let me tell you. I was a trend trader. I put my buy stop right here for confirmation. I like confirmation. Make sure she doesn't have no sexually transmitted diseases. Because it makes it more romantic. I'm thinking, am I going to have a genital ectomy? Am I going to have to go get some spray just to keep my? But look at this puppy. Is it in a downtrend? Is this just a pullback? And of course, the most disturbing thing of all things, that after you spent all that time back testing the Holy Grail and it turns out it makes money on the 1 hour chart, and you're like, what if this thing would make money on the 5-minute chart? I can save myself a lot. I can get some good trades. Yeah, it's until the robot looks at that spread and says, the noise floor ratio, they call this in audio. So if you can't even fucking hear a note, you can't tune your guitar because the noise floor is so fucking high. Yes, that's a problem. Unless there's no spread, and that would be, if there's zero spread and you're just paying commissions, that's almost like, oh gosh, it's like a noise gate, You don't have this problem. It's not really getting in the way. But yes, all strategies work. The contour, you're trying to do a particular kind of trade because of the angle the market's trading, and if you built, you get an edge going. I got an edge. But of course, in the end, it's always going to come down to how many chunks of money, how many trades you got to put on. Can you repeat that trade? That was my fear. Can I repeat that? And I thought, well, on the gut level, I could, but if I'm relying, in other words, I look at the thing like this pulling back here now. I like to buy a plunge because it's like a trade I could build in. I can see myself building a long position on crude oil here, but next week when the market, so they came out, and this is supposed to come down anyways because the Fed's doing its job. You know, they raised interest rates. But wait a minute, doesn't that? Yeah, it makes the dollar stronger. So crude oil goes down. The dollar's kicking CAD, it's kicking Euro, kind of kicking Bitcoin a little bit. It should be kicking the shit out of gold. And it's kicking the shit out of gold. And gold gold looks like it's coming down to like, 1,500. But in the long run, I'm just saying that actually, to be honest with you, here's the thing. Do you think that the market's moving like this because we know what's coming? The red wave of logic is coming to the climatologists who have their head buried so far up their fucking ass that maybe it's affecting their thought process. Do you think? But I would say if you're a fundamentalist, you have to make that argument. The market can see it coming. Do we move in advance of these things? This is called a double top, at least in true highs. This is called a double top in closing prices. Is that a double top in gold? Should it have found support here if tops become bottoms? Should it have found support here? I believe we're coming into this vacuum hole. But when people say, somebody asked me, like in this position here, a lot of people are asking, should I buy gold? Listen, dude, if you have a gold fetish, I'd be buying all the way down. Like, so I'd have orders, but if it got down here in this shelf, this is the true internal top become a bottom. If this thing ever came down to here, but it would be without structure, dude. If gold dropped 300, 500 ounce, you know who's going to come in and buy it. Anybody that loves gold and has the money. And just because J.P. Morgan, these big central banks, that's all bullshit. The public, and don't forget the fact that when the market drops, it's just because there's more sellers than buyers. You know, people have to liquidate, and they're probably buying real estate, or it's wealth effect of actually wealth destruction. People have to sell. They're getting margin calls. Don't forget the people that can't afford to buy gold, so they bought it on margin. They're getting stop hunted. They're getting margin called. I mean, sure, every time the market moves, anybody that's on the other side of that trade, the view of the stocks is everybody's long. Yes, everybody that holds stocks is long, but there are people that are short on margin, or they're just short because you got to be on margin, right? You don't own it, so you're hedging in a sense, or you're writing a call against a stock you own just because you want to you collected the premium. That was the perfect trade. You know, there was a guy that was on my channel like 4 or 5 years ago, and you know, he took a class that was a trend trading class, and it said, you know, when the 10 period moving average crosses the 20, you're in a bullish market, and you know it's very bullish, right? And look for a certain particular candle pattern and then get in, you know. And I mean, that's great, but you got to have a lot more going. You got to have a lot of those going, and a lot of other styles of trading going. It's not that wouldn't work, but you couldn't live off that pattern the way he was doing it, at least. And I mean, I never. What I guess people are just trying to win. So if you have a good winning rate, that's a good start. Now, as far as how much money you're making per trade, now you could get very anxious if you're in a giant position, a singular position, but you would build up a callus to that at some point. So if you let the robot trade for you, the magic's supposed to be the robot has no emotions, so he always makes logical decisions where you may freak out and get out of a perfectly good trade because you're afraid they're going to stop you out. I don't know if you've ever done that, but um, you would look at it like every time I moved my stop, they hunted my stop. They came lower and lower, but when I tightened my stop, they stopped me out. But then it never went any lower, and I should have widened my stop. And it's very difficult because if your entry, the argument is if your entry is good, then optimal trade entry, right? But what if the optimal what if it's not an optimal trade entry, but you just have a wide stop and you're willing to take more risk than the next guy, and you can withstand it before the market turns and goes your way and proves you right that it really isn't an uptrend, and I'm just in a little too early because I got to adjust one of these parameters. I don't think that's going to help because what you have to think about is all parameters are good. Like all charts matter. All parameters are good. It's just how often one instrument, and if it's over filtered and it only takes the premium trades, then you don't have a chance to. If it's too tight a rule system, like I started saying at the beginning, with too tight a rule system, you won't be able to take a trade, and if it's too sloppy, you're going to overtrade or you're going to too many bad signals. So if you know that, well, in the morning it's market's busy, it's dead at night. If you can make money from quiet moves, which are kind of noisy, but since the market is not that, it's kind of you'd have to trade a different size. And then when the market's doing stuff like this, where on the monthly charts it's crushing down, like I said, I don't think even scalpers wouldn't care. They might care Monday morning when they look at it and say, this looks like a good trade, and I know what to do here because when it's moving this fast, now these are all like experience things. Back testing a robot that's going to scan out the optimal trade entry, irregardless of instrument and time frame, I just think is impossible. Look at some of the moves on this chart, and there's no one robot that would survive making money. It wouldn't make money from some of this stuff on here. This is gold market. Going back to year 2000, it's at $300 an ounce here. This is as fascinating as Bitcoin, and is as tragically overpriced as Bitcoin. Who gives a shit about gold? And this would be certainly the argument when people are running out of food. They're going to sell their gold and buy food. They're not going to all do it on one day. They're going to liquidate, and maybe they're putting into prepping food because they bought this bullshit about there's going to be no food and electricity's going to $1 million. It's all bullshit. It's just bullshit, dude. I've lived through it. I've lived through this shit in 1970. I didn't have the internet to go and bitch about it, but I watched the whole thing happen. I thought, well, we weren't even scared back then. I don't know what it was. My starter wife was afraid there was going to be a nuclear holocaust, and I'm like, I hope they drop the bomb on you. Jesus Christ. They had a song, Drop a Bomb on Me, Baby. Now, this is the Gap Band, so I can speak from experience on that. But seriously, man, you look at the chart, I hear this stuff on the news like, stock market, I'm like, God, who's not buying here, dude? As soon as we get logic and reason back on deck, it doesn't take long. How long can you drive in the gutter? How long can you shear their tires off on the lip of the pavement that the government put in that piece of shit road they built? How long can you do that before you go, you know what? I'm just going to buy bigger tires. And people did. They bought SUVs and they start flipping them over because Firestone made shitty tires with this. But I regress. Let me go to this. I'm just too curious to look at this now. Stock market. So the stock market's another amazing story, and we all couldn't believe it. They said this thing was going to crash. I said it was going to crash, and I was totally wrong. And then I realized that. So here was the big crash. Remember this one? This is the endemic. And how about that move, huh? Now, in retrospect, is that it, or is this it? No, that yeah. So this is a complete. This thing's just ripping, and this is the S&P, not the Dow. So it's a totally different story. But it's all the way back to here. Is anybody really gonna? So it's consolidation. I heard that a couple big houses like FedEx. I didn't even know FedEx is ridiculous. Who is using FedEx, dude? UPS will show up to your business every fucking day to pick up shit. You're like on their pickup route. They have an afternoon guy, a morning guy. I mean, a post office can barely get your stuff, and FedEx. I think the post office was using FedEx, but somebody. But yeah, FedEx is ridiculous. DHL was an international thing. You don't see them anymore. I'm surprised Amazon isn't going to take over the delivery services for fucking Amazon delivery by FedEx. But so what? I mean, if you're a trader, you're going to say, well, okay, I'm going to start stacking myself. I would scale into things like this, but here's the big support, right? But you really think the Dow Jones is coming back to the 2015 prices? It's impossible. It's impossible. And so they did the biggest rate increase here, and that's the pullback you got. All right. So coming in, we're going to have to. I'm going to look at 6 charts here. And now we're just going to, I think, get quiet. I think everybody has exhausted their adrenaline. This looks like it's going to tank. We're still going to tank on gold, and it's still going to tank on the S&P. It's still going to keep selling off. And probably Bitcoin, everything's going to sell off, I think. Slowly drip down here. But it's not like I'm looking to get on the short side of that. I think I'd still be always a day trader. I'd always say I want to only be in that market for 4 to 12 hours, because the next day it's just going to turn around and go the other way. It's an exchange. In my view, it's an exchange. Although it's fascinating to look at these giant, when you can see the big picture on the monthly and you're looking way back at everything that's happened. It is pretty amazing. Yeah, look, the 2008 crash is on here too. This is it just kills me. This should probably be a logarithmic chart, but I don't want to do logarithmic because this is actually real dollar to dollar. I just don't think that's a good idea at all, because this is this is what really happened dollar wise. But here's a 2000. I don't have the 1987 crash on here, but it kind of looks like like this, and people committed suicide like the 87 crash is like itself like that. 2008 housing crisis, and actually the dollar was cheaper than the Canadian dollar right there. And then the long bullish, and this is why like here, this crash here, people are like, oh, out of the world. And then guess we got our new president right there, the real one, in 4 years. 4 years. And then, wow. And this was all the money from all the people on Netflix, Goobers, all Amazon. When technology became your savior. I don't have I'm sorry, this is NASDAQ. So this is the technology world. So when technology became your savior, this is what you saw here too. So Corona comes in and they go, we've got the answer. I mean, yes, fundamentally the money's pouring into this, but the pace that's moving, I think a lot of investors want to see, like, well, I bought here and I held it for 5 years and I got out just in time before the crash, and here comes 2008, and I bought back after the crash, after the drama. Nice smooth equity curve, thank you very much. I don't want the volatility, is just too scary for me. Whereas A swing trader looks at the volatility and says, let's go. I am ready. Here's the reason why it's going to be very difficult. If you have a unit price, a linear size, a unit size you always trade, is that when the market does this, it's never done that before. It'll probably never do that again. I hope I live long enough to see these markets plot out to here, and I'd be like, well, like look at gold. What gold did in this situation was kind of double top, kind of went down here. I mean, it could be like this until you die. It could be trapped in some crazy, like, oh, these guys say yes, these guys say no. They turn it on, they turn it off. Your electricity's on, there's a brownout. If you didn't know any better, so here's the 2000 crash, remember? This is NASDAQ. All the computers are going to die. This is when Merrill Lynch said, we're bullish on the future. I'll never forget it. It really happened. And it was the first ad at midnight, and they paid a ton. It was right after they dropped the ball on New Year's, coming out of New Year's, the first ad, and they pay a lot, just like Super Bowl ads. I'm thinking, we're Merrill Lynch and we're bullish on the future. And then it was like 3 years, rut-row. I can't remember the moron that was in, I think it was some guy that, this George Bush, I can't remember. I'm not good at that stuff either. Some asshole was in office. I think Obama's over here fucking smashing this shit down, blowing this shit up. It was 8 years that fuck nut. And I'm sure. Yeah. So his bullshit took us up to 2016 here. So, yeah, this is actually pretty good for Obama. But this is just this tech world. Don't forget. And once you took out the highs from the tech wreck. This is kind of the christening point where people are like, is this thing going to go like this? Or is it, oh boy. And here comes Donnie. My favorite pragmatist. Gets in office and says, well, what we're going to do is, and holy shit. I mean, look at the scale of that. Just take a look and put a fucking fib on that cunt. This is your 38. This is like a Fibonacci extension. Like, come on, man. From here to fucking here. Orange man bad? Not on that ride. It's called capitalism. The Marxists just don't understand it. They think they're taking Karl Marx's version literally. Dude, if you can only see range of the moment thinking. It's range of the fucking moment thinking. It's fucking absolutely retarded all day long and actually moronic, imbecile. You're an imbecile that's having a moron sandwich and you're just really... But that's what you get. That's what the beauty of it is. It blows itself up. It's a circular firing squad of stupidity. We all know that. I hope, right? And of course, if you're lost in a nice, if you have a nice couple pounds of fentanyl for the weekend to toot, because you build up down to that one. Then of course, you're happy. Just mentally masturbating. You don't need to really do anything, and you're not taking any risk in the market. That's the beauty, and I recommend that for everybody. That if you don't feel safe trading, that's a disclaimer. Just start drinking. It's riskier, but so what is risk? You feel like you're risking money that you'd have to make more money or sell more things, or you're not making money fast enough. You made too much money. Now you're bored. All the things that happen. And are you trying to build something if people are trying to build a robot and then sell it to somebody else, or people trying to um, experiment, they just want to experiment with things. Fascination. It's kind of a boring gig, in essence, unless you're just intrigued by price action and the whole mechanics of doing math on the markets, or just kind of trading from your gut, and you're just good at that. And you're just kind of, I've seen this before, especially the headlines. The only problem with fading the headlines and saying, well, JP Morgan is wrong, but what if they're right? I guess every call they made has been wrong so far. I'm like, look, we're projected to go, yeah. You're projected how many people are going to die from the Zeronas? Dude. Oh my God. They spent so much money. They're still running ads. Don't forget you get your 14 millis. You've been alive for 14 milliseconds. Don't forget to get a booster. And then the new ad says, if you're caught up on your initialization roosters, then you certainly are. I have to be careful of everything I say. So I have to code everything in baby talk for you, like I'm wearing a mask. Maybe I should I'll put on a mask for the rest of the... so what do I do? Sir, can I hear your order, please? What would you like? Okay, would I like you to take that fucking mask off, please? Sorry, sir, I didn't hear you. We don't do... hi, welcome to Starbucks. Welcome to Starbucks. I like to go... That's not even proper. I'm not even giving it... I'm trying to fake it with my hand. Welcome to Starbucks. Can I take your order, please? Oh, you cappuccinos? Is my mask bothering you? Can you hear me, sir? Sir, don't get pissed off, sir. Sir, you look irate. I'm not going to call the police and get a restraining order. I can't hear your S's. I can't hear you pronunciate. Could you please pronunciate for me? Can you articulate? Semblance. I should probably bring a semblance meter with me. And anybody that's wearing a fucking mask. And dude, does it have to be blue? Powder blue? They're only good for 2 hours. They should have them turn color and expire. They should just... Oh my God. Can we put fentanyl on the masks, please? There, I said it. Let's spike those masks. Oh my God, I can't... The robots aren't that sophisticated to hunt down malicious commentary. No, you just can't say certain words like installed, manipulated, engineered. It's engineered. It's an engineered bad feeling I'm getting. I just came down with it. Oh God, I just met a girl today. She said she had 3 times. I said, why are you getting good at it? She said she was sick for like 2 months. God, can I get that? I said some awful things to her. But I don't know. She was married, so I didn't feel like any danger that she was going to like me. Maybe. I just didn't feel like I wasn't trying to be polite. I tried to because, women and children first, but she's kind of rough. She's a rough girl. I don't want to say tomboy because I don't know if you can say tomboy. Is it part of the alphabet soup derivations? Talk about, man, I think it's easier to trade forex than it is to trade genders. I mean, what's harder? Trying to pick an instrument, picking the proper, I built this moving average crossover system with Bollinger Bands. My girlfriend loves when I put on Bollinger Bands. Actually, I make her wear the Bollinger Bands. It's a device I created. It ties her to the bed at a standard deviation so that I can get the right angle. But, there's things there's crossover skills. And I always use my Fibonacci tool just before I insert, 62 degree angle. Actually, the Fibonacci has, I use Gann angles. Yeah, I break out that 45 degree and Put a miter box in the room too. That helps a guide. It helps to have a guide. Well, I call them templates, but she doesn't like what she doesn't like is the volume chart, and I agree with her. It's like, how loud does she scream? She's like, do you have to use the decibel meter every time? Well, I'm doing an experiment. And this is the whole intrigue of life. I know the other system works and we love each other, but can we experiment? Can we back test it? I always say, I'll show you the brochure how it's supposed to be used, but and we could back test it and that'd be fun too. In fact, if we never even take it to market, we might just have too much fun back testing. Is that where you? Oh, that's doggy style back testing. I got you. Yeah, that's gonna be. No, I understand. You don't like my face. You just treat me like treat you like a template. Just treat you like a, you know how it is. But trading is like that. It's romantic for the sense that we speculate and we wonder, yeah, is she still gonna like me in about 40 minutes? Is this trade? How long do you think this before they stop me out of this trade? I was thinking, how long before she slaps me in the restaurant in the face? Yeah, I don't know if my trading. Maybe if I work on my relationship, my trading will get better. It probably would. But then, of course, is it going to just be another boring trade? Oh, we're making money again. I miss the old days where they'd stop hunt me. But then I started to trade with wide stops and small positions, and I didn't care anymore. And then they came for her, and I said, "You can have her. She's too annoying for me." And it is a relationship. A lot of people don't like the dollar CAD because of the way it ranges. And I get that. The trend traders are like, what the fuck is with this dollar CAD? I had a perfect setup. All my signals came together now. What the fuck happened? Oh, but love watching crude crash. They spiked the price here. I couldn't figure out why. And I hate to suspect sabotage and become cynical, but they had an oil refinery. I didn't know they had any left. They had one in Ohio that caught on fire 2 days ago, and they raised the price of gas 20 cents a gallon overnight here. So it was kind of like, what? And then I looked at the crude oil chart and I said, huh? And they're not manipulating because there's places you can go right now. It's probably actually coming down a little bit. And the fundamental reason is supposed to be, well, they opened up the internet, what is it called? The FJB fatigue reserves, military backup supplies intended for professional use only. But then Goober Amateur steps in, cuts off the spigots, opens up the reserves that we pay. We bought it about $20 a barrel back in the day, and put a big chunk in there. Kind of lowered the wagon there around buck a barrel, supposedly on paper. By the last rational person, oh, we don't have one now, but the last guy that was rational. And so here we sit. I think oil's doomed. I think it's tanking. I don't think anything can save it. I think people have changed their behavior. That's what markets are based on, is a free market of choice. And people just, they don't need to do this and that and the other thing. Trust me. Trust and believe. People are spoiled fucking so bad. They are so rich and so spoiled. I don't care if there was 1,000% inflation every day. You think about how much money people have. My fucking God. And honestly, not everything goes up in price. I've seen things drop. I've seen things hardly move. I saw things move up in price over the past 4 years, over the past 10 years, and in last month, some things had never moved. They'd already moved up. A lot of things have already been. Remember when lumber was coming in wrap? This is about 8 months ago. Lumber prices. I don't know what lumber is now. If I brought up a chart, trust me, they're probably pulled back just like crude's crashing, coming back off this top. I'm sure there's plenty of money to be made on the fucking ranging of the bounces, the rallies, all that stuff. But once again, there's a big difference between looking at these markets in this grandiose monthly chart zoom out. It's just mind blowing compared to the, this is NASDAQ, compared to the super tight view. Here's the 100 pip grid on the monthly euro dollar. Well, look at this stuff. What do you call this? This is no trend. Is this, I guess you could say it's a downtrend, but look at those price pulses. Look at this smash. Now you're cutting into lows that not only go back, I mean, these are major. This is salt deep. It's like this one down here. Look at this shelf. When you took this out, God, that's a big. And now, this is your first time you've seen this in what? It's each slot is a year on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like 20-year low. All the way back to starting gate. It's a 100 pip grid. There's all of this zone of buy. And this is 500 pips, so that's like just so much, even in a small position. Gotta zoom in on that. Going to the weekly chart. Holy shit, right? This is a whole year since January. Tank, 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 tank. This is just amazing moves. But then you go to the 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart. You're like, wow, wait a minute. 100 pip grid. On the 4 hour chart, this is Sunday night. Spikes up. Anything above this fractal, could have sold it. You need a 100 pip stop to make 100 pips. Anything below here is a buy. Buy. Comes back to here, but it's ranging. Tanks into this void. So this is the trade I would do. I'm not going to look at a monthly chart. There's more opportunity in this 4 hour chart. Just taking 20 pips off of something that happened in here. Bing, bang, bong, bing, bong. As soon as it drops below this weekly, as soon as it nicks this stuff, yeah, it's kind of a buy. Buy, 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 100 pip bounce. Buy, buy, buy. Or on the sell side, it rallies, sell it. Or breakout traders, here's narrow range breakout, kablamo. Narrow range breakout, triangle forms, downtrend. Sure, that's a setup. Yeah, get 2 trades a week. Sell, sell. And you went short into the weekend. I wish MetaTrader would update this dotted, but it doesn't come in until, we don't see this dot move here till Sunday night. Right, so this space should be from here to here, and it's not. It's kind of a bummer. But that's MetaTrader. Other charts might actually start off there, but the market opens. So zoom out one level on this 4 hour chart. Let's see. Delete, zoom. Wow, what a mess. Now, let's zoom out one more level on the 4 hour chart. These are weekly. This is a week. So I'd like to think of this as a weekly chart. Look at all this. This is a 200 pips slam up and down for 2 fucking weeks in a row. What the fuck is that? That's noise. Well, that's not noise, but it's chop. I mean, it's tradable. I don't think you'd even have a problem with the spread here. You're only paying 5-10%, even with the worst spread in the world. And then more chop. So, like I say in every video, 80% no trend. I'm going to call this a trend. To 80% sideways. Not really a trend here. I'm going to call this whole thing sideways bullshit. Here's a trend. Now we're going to go sideways. But it's not like perfect. It's not. These aren't perfect things, perfectly sideways. I'm saying that if you bought into this plunge, every 20 pips, buy, you buy more, it goes down. When it comes back to here, it doesn't have to come back to there. So if you bought everything below this floor in this window, buy. Yes, you get your 100 pip bounce, but if you wait long enough, you almost get your 170 pip bounce, right? And if you wait long enough, you get this 300 pip come back into. We'll just cut. Just there's doing a lot of things there. You can say it's cutting into this void, but really it's the. In the end, it's always going to be 80-20 rule. I'm going to call this the trend, the trend up, trend down, chop. How do you know you're in chop when it's happening? You never do, but after a big move, you're going to start seeing chop. Now, this is 3 weeks of chop, kind of cutting out an attempt to, I'm going to say a trend from the bottom of here, but I'm looking at these chops of, so when you dip down and just nick the wicks on the weekly, then this is the fuel to engulf, to come cutting in and take out this. Just like buying here and at least expecting 100 pips to here on something. You may not get it, but be prepared to buy more. So there's all of these, in my head, there's always going to be, you're canvassing an area. Some guy's going to buy a small dog. Some guy's going to buy a big dog. Some guy's going to want a giraffe. But you don't get a lot of giraffes, and maybe that's your big money maker. You have to get by selling little things, And you have to accept this fact that you've got 8 girlfriends that are kind of like, well, I guess it's better than being alone, but there's 2 girls out of the 8 that you're like, wow, everybody wants that big exciting run, and I guess that's all I'm trying to say. I don't know. So it's not easy to follow me, because this is the whole reason why I have to keep everything on the super low down. Because if you understood what I was saying, people say, I don't get, and why is this guy? Yeah, I know, but it has to be like that. It's a cloaking device. It's how we keep everything secret, so we don't get pulled over on the logic highway and have ourselves lobotomized by a guy that, Mr. Chi. How do these people rise to the top? It's the same fucking idiots that run the big houses, the institutionals. Yeah, these are the fucking idiots pulling the trigger in such a slow pull, too. They chase the market like the worst fucking trade. You want to see the worst traders in the world? Look at the fucking idiots working at the big houses. Well, our recommendation, even in commodities, they had their head up their ass. Well, our prediction is that they were always wrong. But how do you know when to fade them if that's really true? Well, you don't, because you'd have to decide how much you're going to invest in going against what you see market structure. You have to ignore market structure and say, well, what they just said is bullshit. Let me go the opposite way. But if the crowd believes it, the crowd will pull that. I mean, there's enough people that believe what they're saying, and maybe those people. Here's the big problem: is a lot of people aren't even watching these shows that pull these triggers. So the people that are moving the market in unison may just be the fact that they all finally got clearance on pulling the trade. The big houses have to wait a long time to get clearance, so their order comes in, and some guy that thinks he knows and he's got a lot of money, he pulls the trigger. It's just happenstance. It's a traffic jam, but some people are always on that route, but some people just showed up because there was a Oh, they closed down the other side of the road because they had the wrong kind of amount of. Well, they're having that problem over there where they have the wrong kind of fertilizer on the field or something. Too much nitrogen or something. So we had to shut down the whole farm. We redirected traffic, but once again in trading, it's worse than a traffic jam. It's literally a. It turns into wild animals instead of cars, and then it goes back and it becomes a shape shifting nightmare of, oh, I thought the market was going up, and we knew they were going to raise the interest rate. So why don't you just sell the euro? For how long? It's probably going to reverse now, right? It's all priced in the market. All of these old arguments. When do you pull the trigger on these kind of ideas, though? Like, when do you say, well, they just announced this? Maybe it gave crude oil a bump, but the whole thing's doomed. So this would be the consolidation phase. 80% is consolidation, and 20% is the move. Wave 3, Wave 5, and Elliott wave. Wave 3 is the biggest wave in Elliott wave. This is known fact. Let me put everybody on the same page here. Here's the Bitcoin on the 1 hour basis. Just a bar chart. I thought it's the most disturbing chart to look at. Here's the monthly Bitcoin. Well, son of a bitch. I don't think it's going to $1 million. You got to get above this price first. Oof. 27 grand. I'd be getting out of I'd definitely be an accumulator buyer here. Like I said, accumulation means you're scaling in. Buying means you're like, oh, I'll just buy right now. I always feel like when people say, it's a buy, well, then let's buy it now. But if they say let's accumulate, I'm thinking scaling in. And that's going to take 80% of accumulation time in one burst. We get one nice burst out of that. And then got this, people are calling this top become a bottom. What if it doesn't hold? Come down to this top, become a bottom. I'm sure people are staring at this, but it doesn't mean they're right, and it doesn't mean they could make money on that trade because they don't have any money to blow on that. The exchange opens up Bitcoin. Oof. Bitcoin becomes legal trading. I think this price pulse was Bitcoin became accepted by the Chicago Board of Trade, or maybe that was back here. Now what are they saying? Oh gosh. People jumping out of windows. I can't take the pressure. Max Kaiser goes on Tim Pool when we're about here. Yeah, Bitcoin, man. It's a place to be. All the other coins are shitcoin, he said. Well, the whole fucking market is moving in concert. Let's see. A rising stolen E crashes all boats. Yes. When you steal my car, my constitutional car, and you drive it off a fucking cliff, you're going to hear about it. Digital currency. And to hear these woke morons, financially woke dumb shits. Well, dude, you want to get Bitcoin because why? Well, because your money's not in the bank. And how's that working for you? I mean, why would you even buy? Dude, every time I did a transfer, I was like, I'm just here for the transfer. I don't even want to think about, like, somebody sent me money on this day and then I picked it up this day. I waited a couple of years to pick up the fucking transfer. Oof. Dude, this thing's moving like 1% a day. Like, if you're in any big transactions, and if it takes an hour to clear and the market's on fire, which, Dollar's not like that. Dollar's barely moving, dude. What, it went up 5 cents in 5 years? This thing's fucking moving like the wheels are coming off. Like people are on fucking methamphetamines trading that. We come out with stablecoin. Stablecoin? Yeah, it's less volatility. How'd stablecoin do? Well, stablecoin got so stable it just like flatlined. It's flatline stable now. It's stable. How much is it priced at? Let's just say it's not fluctuating. Yeah, but what is it priced at? 0. Stablecoin. Well, how about we come up with a coin called volatility coin? How about fucking nuts coin? Just balls to the wall coin. Fungible token. How about fungible balls? Something you could market. Like a pet rock, but like pet balls. Okay, I'm not helping. So I tortured you for an hour and 5 minutes. That's all I got available at the moment. It's a bottomless pit. There's no magic answer to sex, life, or trading, or even playing the guitar, honestly. Less is more is less, according to Ingvain Malmstein. But I think more is just enough. Or too much is just enough. Forgot that's actually the creed of Americans. Do you have one? Do you have a cell phone? Dude, I got 5 and I got an Apple. I got a Samsung, an Apple, and 3 fucking Macintoshes. And I've got a homemade computer. Built it on Linux. And it talks to me at night. People are spoiled. They got too much fucking time. Dude, if you could play a fucking video game, you know, back in the day, that was like how you survived. I have a virtual... Dude, people used to chase like... Would they chase like dinosaurs for dinner? They had brontosaurus burgers. You ever seen Fred Flintstone? I mean, we're talking about shit that really happened. They may not have landed on the moon, but Fred had a goddamn foot-driven car. And I think Barney was gay, but that's a whole nother... But, you know, it's like, what in the fuck has happened to people? They're just spoiled, dude. It's austerity. Remember austerity in Britain? This is like 8 years ago. Austerity. I thought, where's this word come? That's an austere word. What is old-fashioned English speak? I guess I'm going to need like an armor suit to listen to that speech. That is like, wow, that's medieval. That's why Game of Thrones is so popular. Game of Thrones, dude. If you thought about growing up, oh, you got to see the show. Why? I guess if you're a costume designer, you're like, man, this is really cool. They did a good job in them costumes there. Oh my God. I'd rather watch a tick chart when the market's closed. I'd rather stare at an empty Ford template. I'd rather watch paint dry or a black squirrel try to get in front of my car at 80 miles an hour. But that's how it is, man. And that's the secret to thinking and trading and not blowing your own fucking brains out with people that... Let me close out in the vice president's talented speech that she gives, the format that she uses, her template. So when you're trading price charts, you want to trade price charts, and you want to do it while you're trading a price chart. And why do you want to use a price chart? Because it's about price action. Okay. I'd like to say a little bit about price action. It has to do with price action. While we are actioning price, we are in price action on a price chart. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the How to Trade Price Action seminar. And you can imagine when you're driving home that you're in action on your way to see a price chart, and that's another kind of price action. So, and you know, it's gonna be a good life. We have a good future ahead of us. The circus continues, and the the this is the true litmus test for. It's sad because it's heartbreaking to see people that are afraid of their own shadow at this point, and they bought into so much bullshit because they can't resist the candy, the eye candy of the movies and all this stuff. I was in a bathroom today of this restaurant. They had about, I'm going to say, 50 monitors in this place. Very creative, though. They had this tree of monitors above the table that we sat at. And then when you went in the bathroom, you could see the monitor anywhere in that bathroom. The high-res monitor running a Gwen Stefani video. This bitch is so lost any kind of talent. She's talented, but I don't know, man. It's like the most formulaic piece of shit music that you could ever listen to. It's just a clusterfuck of trends. It's fucking garbage is what it is, dude. I'd rather listen to the Shondells. Anything that's like authentic. This stuff is just cookie cutter shit commercial. Eye candy, audio candy, garbage fuck. So the authentic real world is coming back. It's going to be a backlash because people are going to get like tangible, I mean, as Bitcoin crashes, as people walk away from digital and realize the sweet smell of reality, get out of your fucking car. Hey, listen, you want to do a first shooter? Come to my town. Come to any city in the United States and be a real first shooter. I mean, it's just like, but the video game, I get it. You can control the score, the world. And it is the drug of choice for people that don't want to ingest chemicals. They're going to go into a video game. They're going to go into a movie. I'm gonna say I find horror movies better than heroin. Not that I've done any heroin, but I can only imagine that movies really are the ultimate escape. And why not, right? Isn't this how we're not killing ourselves and each other, is that we can escape into a fantasy world? But this is the double-edged sword, is that people that escape too hard are kind of setting a landscape of fragileness, because who's manning the store? And once the people working at the store start to steal shit and rig shit and cover up the camera lenses and say, oh, we can't talk about this, can't talk about that, can't look at that, it's too painful, oh, I don't want to hurt you. Microaggressions. What happened to microaggressions and acid rain? What happened to all the good crises? We moved on. I think the next one's going to be a thought crisis. My head's exploding. I can't handle the logic and the reasoning. You're making too much sense. You're giving me a brain tumor. If you notice, my temple's pulsing in repressed anger over your stupidity. And it's even worse if you pay somebody to teach you stuff that is worthless. Okay, maybe mentorships or life coaches. I'd rather be a life coach. Mentorship sounds too too dedicated to wonder. I don't know. It just sounds like. But we all mentor each other, because the crackhead or the guy begging for money when I come off the highway is mentoring me, and like I don't want to be like that. So this is kind of a display. Everything is and if you step back and you're not involved in some of these like if you ever felt like I missed out on that Bitcoin, well, this year's time to buy it. Um, Same thing with gold as it tanks into the new. This will be the reboot of capitalism. If capitalism comes back, then yeah, when freedom comes back, markets crash, and the fear drives up the price of oil and gold. And sure, when the Fed's controlling, people are pissed that the Fed is creating the interest rate. But it doesn't matter who creates it, because really the truth is that bond market changes, and then they have to raise interest rates to chase the bond market. That's what they say. But none of that matters if you're on a ship and you got on that ship just before the storm came and you're able to ride it. Then that's all that matters to you at the time. And all these, what matters to one person doesn't matter to the next person. And the older you get, all that matters is what you have left on the time clock to do in your life. So when you're young and you can afford to fall over and break a bone and you'll heal, it doesn't take so long to heal. It's a different lifestyle, it's a different approach. And the risks that people take, they're defining what risk means to them. There's no brochure for life, a handbook that says, well, this is for how many points of risk here. This is the whole problem with the mandates and the qualifications and the boosters and all this bullshit, is that these formats rarely fit anybody on the fucking planet. You're lucky if you fall under the threshold for the back test, and it's a perfect fit and your life's smooth. And it's just, idealistic things are unrealistic things. But we do need to have we aim at perfection because we have to aim at the optimal trade entry, but there's more than one. There's no singularity. There's no one God or one thought or one technique or one color or one and that's why you unless you clone somebody, but even if you do that, they're going to have two different perspectives on life. If it's only 10 degrees off, they're going to see the sunset slightly different. So you've already created bifurcation. There's no way. I know it's subtle. Twins will complete each other's sentences, but you have that. And I saw two girls today. I thought they were related. I said, how can they not be brother and sister? But maybe they were just, maybe I was reading into it. We don't know if we're distorting stuff like Rorschach tests. We don't know if we're saying, wow, it kind of looks like I've seen this pattern before. But then how much does that pattern cost? And what do we even care? Are we going to, if we're intrigued, we'll keep going on any topic. And then there is the issue of, like I said, the time it takes to even investigate these things. And if you're, the problem with the market is it doesn't know you exist, so it's not like there's a two-way street there. Whereas if you're trying to buy something, you can negotiate with somebody and say, or even swap something. But you can't sway the market. You're just there. You're invisible. And so we just work around. We assume that. But it's to our advantage because we shouldn't feel paranoid that the market's going to hunt our stops, because they can't. That's just a paranoid view. But it should be quite interesting to see what Christmas has to bring. And in the next 60 days is going to be nuts. I do think the next 60 days will destroy Bitcoin, gold, oil, but not the S&P 500. I think that's kind of done. We've tanked enough there. And the euro's done tanking. But that's just my speculation, which everybody likes to speculate. It's a lot of fun. And when does it happen? And nobody's wrong if they wait long enough. Oh, we told you it's gonna. Yeah, 5 years later. What's a signal? We're using the signal service here. Let me go to the dailies. I'll put everybody on the daily page and try to get the right zoom amount here to calibrate the chart a little bit. So I try to stack these things up and go apples to apples, same bar width, the same time frame. Bitcoin, unfortunately, it trades on the weekends, so, and gold does not trade all day, so there's a little distortion there. Okay, one more zoom in level. Oops. Maybe I gotta zoom out. I don't know how big I made that's a different template than all the other ones. No, that was right before. So that's the daily. Oh wait, that's wrong. Gotta zoom in. We should only see 1 month. So it's a monthly chart on those dotted lines. Oh, that's 1 month. So the daily chart creates a 1 month vertical dot, and we don't see it here because it's trading all day long. I just locked that chart up. This is so fucked about Bitcoin. It just fucks your chart up because the price is so outlandish. Even MetaTrader knows it's fucking fake. Reset it, the scale. We have to go to the weekly. We don't have enough data on here. I only say we because I want to make it about you, not about me. So you're making me do this. Now there's the classic inversion. So oil tanks, euro tanks, but I think oil's going to drip down. People are going to buy the euro, and this is definitely a sell. I think the game's over. Here's a buy to me. I only think that the oil market's going to keep tanking because I'm using the monthly view. It's the only one I can really, on this kind of vertical where I don't have a lot of space, get the broad view and a snapshot across 6 instruments. This monthly view, I need that monthly view because I'm going vertical here to dramatize the move. So oil's dropping so ferociously here where this is stalled out. This is dropping ferociously, but this is a cross rate. This is not a raw instrument. So is this. So I think this is a sell. This is a buy. This is stable. I mean, it's definitely a buy for the dead cat bounce, but I think that you could take out $61 a barrel. And this is definitely super buy zone here. Because it's over for these ass clowns. They drove it off a cliff. They shut down every fucking thing. And Bitcoin's kind of dead in my mind, just like the S&P. So this is a buy. So is the S&P. This is a sell. That's a buy. It is a buy, but I still think gold and oil are doomed. I think gold is doomed. Gold going to drop like $100, $200 there, of course, but then it'll be a buy. I mean, so it's always this range stuff, and that's always the torture, and there's no trend. There's only a momentary trend, right? A big tank here in the monthlies. Trend's over there. Now it's chop. I can't wait to see crude tank. I just love in gold tanks. I just can't stand why. I just don't get gold. $2,000 an ounce. This is like the top tick Tommy in gold. Absolutely. And now we're into the VAC. A lot of bouncing coming in there. Alrighty then, that's it. That's my angry view of everything.